Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about bust-proof players that you must draft in 2024 fantasy football. The 4 players that I believe will not be busting pause in 2024 fantasy football. But before we can go in depth into these players, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you're doing up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. While you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure to leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter or X, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. So without further ado, let's get into 4 bust-proof players that you must draft in 2024 fantasy football. We begin with my first bust-proof player, and that is going to be rookie wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr., Maserati Marv of the Arizona Cardinals, current underdog fantasy ADP, wide receiver 9 at pick 13.7. Now, it is unheard of a rookie wide receiver being drafted, being steamed up this highly in fantasy football drafts. We have seen running backs in the past, rookie running backs, even some rookie running backs like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who weren't worthy of first-round picks, get steamed up this high. But wide receivers, when they're a rookie, a lot of people seem to be a lot more pessimistic to draft them early. And this is really the first case where a rookie wide receiver has a top 2 round ADP. And in some leagues, you're going to see Marvin Harrison Jr. go in the first round if this is a league that is very wide receiver heavy. Now, in prior seasons, we've had guys like Jamar Chase get steamed up relatively high, but they never eclipsed that top 2 round pedigree like Marvin Harrison has. Marvin Harrison is an amazing prospect. Marvin Harrison is in the perfect situation to succeed. Last year at The Ohio State University, he plays 12 games, has 117 targets, 67 receptions, 1,211 yards, 18.1 yards per reception, and 14 total touchdowns, marking back-to-back seasons with over 1,200 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns. This guy was downright unstoppable, unguardable in college. Now, obviously, the competition he's going to be facing at the NFL level is going to be better, but he is the clear, undisputed alpha wide receiver in this offense. In an offense with Kyler Murray, who, while a lot of people like to make fun of him, is an amazing NFL quarterback. And the talent around him is incredibly suspect, right? Michael Wilson, Zay Jones is solid. We've seen him be solid, but again, no one is writing home about how much they love Zay Jones. They've got Greg Dortch, Chris Moore, Zach Pascal. This is a wide receiver core that is essentially atrocious outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, they do have the tight end there that is great, Trey McBride, and I love McBride. So I'm not going to dig him a grave here, Undertaker style, right? But what I'm going to do is tell you that there is no doubt in my mind that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a wide receiver that doesn't smash in year number 1. I have no reason to believe that this guy won't see an insane amount of targets in year 1. He has the pedigree to be a dominant alpha wide receiver at the NFL level, and he is a quarterback that is going to find him all game long. Marvin Harrison Jr. could be the wide receiver number 1 in his rookie year, right? The number 1 wide receiver at all fantasy football. Now, is that the most likely outcome? Of course not. That would be kind of crazy to say that it is incredibly likely that he does it, especially with the talents at the wide receiver position that we talk about, right? Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I definitely think it would be tough to surpass them, but it is possible when you are going to see as many targets as Marvin Harrison Jr., and I think the target share is what makes me so incredibly confident in him. I believe that unless there's an injury to him, knock on wood, or to Kyler Murray, I don't think there is a chance that he ends up being a bust. I think it's going to be no nut November for Marvin Harrison Jr. this season, and I expect him to be a phenomenal player in year number 1. And I also think that in a lot of more casual leagues, there are people that are going to be scared, they're going to be petrified, they're going to be shaking in their boots, thinking about drafting Marvin Harrison in the early second, the middle second, to where he might fall to the late second round. If you start your team with Tyreek Hill and Marvin Harrison Jr., or maybe you get Breece Hall, you swing things back with Marvin Harrison Jr., that would be a wet dream start for me. I think a lot of the more players like myself, right, the competitive fantasy players, the players who've been playing for a while, the people that are watching fantasy football YouTube videos in June or July, right, even before August, basically, those are the people that are going to have caught on to Marvin Harrison Jr. I think the more casual players are going to be nervous because he's a rookie and, oh my God, you can't draft a rookie wide receiver this high. Watch what is going to happen. Moving now to bust-proof player number 2, we have Mr. Mike Evans, wide receiver of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Underdog ADP wide receiver 16 at pick 22.8. Now, I was juggling around the idea over the last couple of days about how I really felt about Magic Mike Evans, right? I used to think a couple of weeks ago that maybe I wanted to not be all in on Mike Evans, right? I want to be pessimistic about Mike Evans, not because of his skill set, but because maybe he doesn't get 13 total touchdowns like last year, right? Maybe the offense ends up being a bit worse. Maybe Baker Mayfield gets a little bit worse, right? Maybe Mike Evans doesn't end up smashing like he did last season. But then I started really thinking. Mike Evans is currently coming off the board as the wide receiver number 16. He would have to really fall off, in my opinion, not to at least finish where you drafted him, right? Obviously, you're looking, when you draft Mike Evans as the wide receiver 16, for him to outperform that ADP and finish inside the top 12, maybe even crack the top 10, or the top 8, right? That's what you're looking for. But at the end of the day, I don't view it as a situation where it is very likely that he ends up being a massive bust, right? He was the wide receiver 7 last year in PPR and the wide receiver 11 in PPR points per game. 17 games played, he has 135 targets, 7.9 per game, number 17. 79 receptions, 4.6 per game, number 18. 1,225 receiving yards, 73.8 per game, number 9. And 13 total touchdowns, second at wide receiver. He ranked 13th in fantasy points per route. He ranked 15th in fantasy points per target. He ranked 13th in yards per route run, 25th in yards per target, 12th in yards per reception, and 12th in yards per team pass attempt. Mike Evans is a guy that has played 10 years in the NFL. He has played with talents from the levels of famous Jameis Winston, who is essentially a blind person trying to play football. He has played with the likes of Tom Brady, the GOAT. He's played with Baker Mayfield, and regardless of the caliber of the quarterback, Mike Evans has put up 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons. 10 straight. Every single year, from his rookie year to his 10th year, he's had over 1,000 receiving yards. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Nick, Mike Evans is getting old. Nick, he's going to start to fall off eventually. Sure, maybe he loses part of a step, right? Maybe he loses half of an inch. But at the end of the day, this is a guy that in 5 of 10 seasons, one of those seasons was last season, scored 12-plus touchdowns. Half of his seasons, he has scored 12-plus touchdowns. Every single one of his seasons, he has gotten over 1,000 receiving yards. And a dude who is a surefire Hall of Famer, you can find him sometimes in the middle of the 3rd round. Sometimes he may even fall into the 4th round in more running back heavy rooms, or maybe in rooms where people are drafting more quarterbacks in the 2nd, the 3rd round. They're drafting more quarterbacks earlier. Maybe they pull the trigger on tight ends a little bit earlier. Mike Evans feels like a condom wrap around your team, a latex, a Trojan, and he feels as though he is going to be incredibly safe yet again. In any given game, this dude could rip off 7 catches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans, even as an elder at this point, is still a fantastic NFL wide receiver. I like Baker Mayfield. Chris Godwin seems like he's kind of off the reservation at this point, so I think we're going to see another wide receiver 1 Mike Evans season. And as the wide receiver 16, he feels incredibly safe. Now we move to bust-proof player number 3, and that is going to be Travis Kelce, tight end of the Kansas City Chiefs. Underdog ADP, tight end 2 at pick 38. So last season starts with Travis Kelce hyperextending his knee in the preseason, and then in week 5, he suffers a low ankle sprain. So Travis Kelce comes into the season hurt, and then he gets hurt again. Now, he still played in 15 games, but we all know that wasn't Travis Kelce at full health. That wasn't the Travis Kelce we were used to. And then, come the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, in these big games, we see Travis Kelce unleashed. We see Travis Kelce look like the Travis Kelce that we've been used to in prior seasons. Now, you can easily argue that last season Travis Kelce was a bust based upon where you drafted him. You had to draft him in the middle or the late first round. It was very unlikely that he fell into the second round. And if you took him there instead of some of these upper echelon with wide receivers or running backs, you ended up as a very sad player, right? Now, Travis Kelce, by all means considered, was not bad. He was still one of the best tight ends in fantasy football, still one of the best tight ends in the National Football League. But for Travis Kelce's standards, he kind of fell off the edge of the earth. He was the tight end 3 in PPR and tight end 1 in PPR points per game, tied with TJ Hawkinson of the Cold Luck Minnesota Vikings. 121 targets, 8.1 per game, number 4. 93 receptions, 6.2 per game, number 3. 984 receiving yards, 65.6 per game, number 2. 5 total touchdowns, 7th. He was 11th in terms of target separation, 4th in fantasy points per route, and 3rd in expected points added at the tight end position. Now, you don't have to draft Travis Kelce in the first round. Now you don't have to draft him in the second round, and in some leagues, you might not even have to draft him in the third round. He is not even the tight end number 1 off the board. He's the tight end 2 at pick number 38. Now, maybe some of you guys play with fucking Swifties in your league or something, and someone takes Travis Kelce in the first round. But more than likely, you can wait till the third round to get who is potentially the best tight end still in the National Football League. Now, when I'm ranking tight ends, I still got Sam Laporta of the Detroit Lions as my tight end number 1, and I'm not going to sit here and lie about that and say that I think Travis Kelce will finish guaranteed as the tight end number 1 because I don't even have him ranked that way. But would anyone be surprised at all if Mr. Swift ended the season as the tight end number 1? The answer to that should be that no one would be surprised, right? Now, I get they add Hollywood Brown to the offense, right? Oh, now they've got more competition for Travis Kelce. Guess what? If they're not running the ball in the red zone, you know exactly who the fuck is getting the ball. That is Travis Kelce. This man's going to get 8, 9, 10 targets every single game like clockwork. He is tied to the best quarterback in the National Football League, Kermit the Frog, Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize, hey, no, Travis Kelce might have potentially done me dirty last season, but you have to understand that he was still really solid. You were just pissed because you drafted him in the first fucking round. Now you can get him in the 3rd, the 4th round. I think it's kind of a no-brainer to select him. He is a stone cold lock unless he gets hurt, and he even got hurt last season. Again, he came into the season with a hyperextended knee and was still the tight end 3 in PPR and the tight end 1 in PPR points per game. He is still one of the best, if not the best tight end in the NFL on one of the best, if not the best offense with the best quarterback. I think fantasy players are getting cute with Travis Kelce. They are overthinking Travis Kelce to the point where he's in the 3rd round. Now, if Travis Kelce was a first round pick, I would be very pessimistic. I would be very nervous to select Travis Kelce in the first round. But guess what? You don't have to. We're talking about him at ADP. He is an incredibly safe player in the 3rd, the 4th round. So Travis Kelce, I think, has a bounce back season. Even though he wasn't that bad last season, it was just he didn't live up to his expectations. My expectations of him were certainly higher. There's a guy that if he scored 10 12 touchdowns, you wouldn't be surprised at all. So I love Travis Kelce this season. A very safe pick based upon ADP. Before we get on into the bust-proof player number 4, the final bust-proof player of today's video, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel, and if you do end up enjoying today's video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below while you're down there. Whether you are new to the channel or not, make sure you leave a like on today's video. Very nice. I like it. Would help me out a ton. So, number 4 bust-proof player is Raheem, the Dream, Raheem, the wet dream, Mostert, running back of the Miami Dolphins. Underdog ADP, running back 28 at pick 96.8. Now, some of you that watch my channel might be thinking, Nick, you just talked about how Devin A-Chain it wasn't a long time ago, just 2 days ago, you said he was a breakout player who's going to break out. You got to draft him. Yes, I still agree with that statement. But I think in Miami, both of these guys can eat at the exact same time. Raheem Mostert was the running back 5 in PPR last year, running back 4 in PPR points per game. One of my best calls from last season. I was screaming from the mountaintops like a Ricola ad. I was telling everyone. I put up fucking posters in my town that says, you gotta draft Raheem Mostert. If you watched one of my videos last year, that was a statement that I was basically fucking implanting into your brain. I was giving you a verbal lobotomy that said, you need to draft Raheem Mostert. It was like Black Ops 1, where they have that thing that goes into your body, right? It brainwashes you. I brainwashed everyone into thinking that Raheem Mostert was going to be great, and guess what? It paid off. Now, I think Raheem Mostert is going to get his touches reduced. His piece of the pie is going to get smaller, and that piece of the pie is going to be transferred to Devin A-Chain's plate. Okay? So I love Devin A-Chain even in the second round, right? I love the upside that he possesses. But we still have to acknowledge the fact that Raheem Mostert isn't just going to completely fade away. He's not just going to disappear this season. Again, I project he's not going to be averaging 13.9 carries per game. I think that is going to go down because I think they want to give A-Chain the ball more. But when you are as fast as Raheem Mostert, when you are able to make quick movements, fast twitch movements, and just be gone, throw out the peace sign, Tyreek Hill style, and you've gone 85 yards to the crib. You don't need to have a crazy amount of carries. Now, he scored 21 touchdowns last season, first at running back. Do I think that's going to happen again? Of course not. But it's not out of the realm of possibilities that he scores 12 plus touchdowns again. So as the running back 28 off of the board, he feels very safe, right? If something was to happen to A-Chain, knock on wood, Raheem Mostert would skyrocket up the rankings. He would be a top 5 running back every single week in my rankings. So why not take him as the running back 28 as a safe bet? Running back 2, slot in. If your running back 2 gets hurt, you play Raheem Mostert, or maybe you got to play him at flex. He still has that big upside any game because the Dolphins are an offense that is going to be pouring points on. They are going to be hitting defenses with the left, the right, head body, right? That's what they're going to be doing. So you want pieces of this offense. I think Raheem Mostert is still a valuable piece. Again, is he going to finish as a top 5 running back like last year? More than likely, in my opinion, no. But there's still a possibility that maybe this A-Chain hype ends up being a disaster, right? It ends up being wrong, right? While we like A-Chain, maybe they're just like, okay, we're going to do what we did last year, and that's run the ball with Mostert a million times. And maybe, just maybe, that's what they do. And then you end up at the end of the season with a top 8 guy in Raheem Mostert. Again, I'm still on the A-Chain bandwagon, but we have to put into context that Raheem Mostert is still going to get touches. He's not going away. Again, last season, he's 20th in carries, 10th in rushing yards. Now, the targets won't be there. I fully acknowledge that because we know Devin A-Chain is going to be getting those. 42nd in targets, 42nd in receptions, 43rd in receiving yards, 21 touchdowns first. 11th in true yards per carry, 4.5 true yards per carry, 4.8 regular yards per carry. 7th in juke rate, 6th in breakaway run rate, 10th in evaded tackles, 8th in dominator rating. Some people might worry about Jalen Wright, but where I'm sitting right now, again, it's not late August, so we don't have as much knowledge, as much of a look into things as we would by then. But I think Jalen Wright is kind of the heir apparent to Raheem Mostert's spot, right? They want A-Chain to be the guy, but once Raheem Mostert leaves, he's getting older, right? Then they have Jalen Wright to do that. That is my thought. Now, if Jalen Wright starts working in way more, then we will just throw this take in the garbage and be like, okay, we were wrong. It is what it is. But right now, close to pick 100 is the running back 28 off the board. Like, I think you're kind of crazy if you don't just take him for the upside he possesses. And again, he is a very safe bet in an elite offense in Miami. And I'm not just saying that because I got the Dolphins shirt on, my Tua shirt. Shout out to Tua. Pay that man, Greer, you bastards. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below while you're down there. Make sure you guys leave a like on today's video, whether you are new to the channel or not. Check out one of the videos on your screen if you haven't seen them already. I love you guys all so much. Hope you have a great one. And as always, good boy.